Okay, hello one and all. My name is Victoria Hansen. I am the Grand Poobah of Hobo Day 2024. Thank you, thank you. I just wanted to wish you all a happy Hobo Eve and welcome you to the dedication of the Jim and Julie Higgins Hobo Day Plaza. You've probably noticed there's a gaggle of hobos. They were holding the doors open over there. Can I get some noise from my Hobo Day committee back there? Yeah, so the 18 of us have been hard at work since February to plan this year's celebrations. We've had an awesome time doing it, so thank you for joining us all for the Hobo Day celebration. It has been most honorable and incredibly rewarding to have served as this year's Grand Poobah alongside my fellow hobos. And of course, my excitement is beyond words on this beautiful Friday, being that tomorrow is the 112th Hobo Day celebration. Pretty awesome. Yes. But today has also been made extra special by getting to help recognize the amazing generosity of Jim and Julie Higgins. So their commitment of $500,000 to sustain and grow this wonderful tradition is truly amazing. It is by far the largest gift ever made to support Hobo Day, and their willingness to commit that $500,000 shows just how powerful and important Hobo Day is to this university and the people that have had the pleasure to be a part of it. At this moment, I can't even begin to tell you how humbling it is to know that I'm in a very elite club with Dr. Higgins. So according to my research, Dr. Higgins and I are two of a little over 100 students to ever serve as either the chairman or the Grand Poobah of Hobo Day. And the term Grand Poobah was actually adopted in 1971, and he was the 1972 Grand Poobah. So if you do the math, he was the second person, and I'm the 53rd. So, yes. Yeah. Yeah, and not to mention, Hobo Day was such a powerful draw to Julie Higgins that she was a part of the Hobo Day committee, despite being a student at Augustana. She participated in the infamous summer parade tour and even attended the annual Hobo convention in Britt, Iowa, if any of you are familiar. So yeah, Julie really embodied what we like to call a hobo by choice. On behalf of the Hobo Day committee, past, present, and future, I thank you both. And if this day wasn't great enough, I also get the pleasure to introduce an outstanding individual who has had a connection with Dr. Higgins dating back more than 50 years. So please join me in welcoming President Barry Dunn.
Thanks, Vic, and welcome, hobos. Tomorrow's our day. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to this very important dedication. I want to start by thanking Barry Milkey and Tanner Aiken and the facilities and service crew for the great job they did on this beautiful plaza. Help me thank the facilities and service crew. And we've had a really busy week with lots of activities with the SDSU Foundation and tonight the alumni group, and so help me thank the team from the SDSU Foundation and the alumni team for helping put all of this on. They're all back here, but thank you guys. Help me thank them. Well, Jim and Julie, thank you so much for your generous gift. You've created, as Vic said, a lasting legacy of support for SDSU's most treasured and important tradition, Hobo Day. Yeah, he thinks I can hear that, and we're old enough now to know that I can't hear that, Bill. Your gift will provide an annual flow of resources to help future Hobo Day committees successfully cast their vision for Hobo Days for decades to come. Jim, you served, as Vic said, you served as my RA on 30s Matthews Hall, and Swabby was there, during my freshman and sophomore year. You were one of the most significant people on campus, an electrical engineering student, varsity basketball player, Briggs Scholar, RA, Air Force cadet, and Hobo Day committee member, and then the second year I knew you, you were the Grand Poobah. And yet, what I remember about Jim is a caring, supporting mentor of all the young men on 30s Matthews. He was an incredible support for a lonely kid from who knows where, without a car, had no way to go home on weekends. And Jim comforted me, that's the best way to say it, and helped me get through a kind of a tough freshman year. So as I remember it, 30s Matthews was a pretty rowdy bunch. A lot of them are from Esteline, if you remember. And it must have been a really tough job, but you did it really, really well. Help me thank Jim for being a great RA. And Julie, as Vic mentioned, I only got to meet you one time, I think, but that was a big deal for me versus Jim. But for the fact that you were from Augustana, and we were bitter rivals back then, and I'm so impressed that I was then and still am that you were willing to serve as a member of our Hobo Day committee by choice. And for those of us who do remember, it was a very, I'm going to use the word, enthusiastic and spirited committee. So you must have been courageous too, because you must have really loved Jim. That's the way I'll put it. I want to, again, so Jim and Julie, congratulations on your successful careers and your beautiful life together. Thank you so much for this wonderful gift. Help me thank Jim and Julie Higgins. So it's now my honor to introduce Dr. Jim Higgins.
I told Barry that before I started speaking, when Julie arrived just probably about 2 or 3 hours ago, that she said that she wanted to take the microphone first. So what I'm going to do, have Ryan, if he would, pull her up here and face the crowd, and I think I can disconnect this microphone.
Yep. I just want to thank everybody for coming and sharing this day with us. It's really a special time, and to see many, many familiar faces and see all dressed in blue and gold and your hobo outfits, and it's really fun to be here. And I also want you to know that our sons are here, Ryan, Chris, and David. It's really been, it's really fun for us to have them share it. And my brother Bill, who is a USD grad, but we got him here today. But when Steve came to Tulsa, and he was meeting with Jim and me, and, you know, what are you here for? What have you got to say? And we had always thought, and we talked about, that South Dakota State was something that we would want to do something for at some point. And boy, Steve and the foundation, you know, sometimes you just have to give them an idea of something that really will ring a bell with them. And that's what they did. When they came up and said, you know, we'd really like to start a fund for Hobo Day, and that we would like you to be a part of it, we thought, this is a great idea, and this would be something we would really want to be a part of. And so immediately we started talking about it and deciding how we best could work with them and do that. So that was really a fun thing for us. And I commend you've got to have people that have ideas and talk to the right people about the right thing and encourage them then to follow through with that. And the foundation has been such a great help and have done that. Hobo Day was really a fun thing for all of us, our families, growing up. And so it was really a fun thing, and being on the committee just as a helper was a fun thing for us. Just having the commitment that the people on the committee give, and seeing lifelong friendships. I mean, we've known you forever, and they followed through, and these familiar faces that we've seen and met with over the years. It's not just a group that gets together for a year or two. It's a group that has this bond that is never broken. And they have always wanted to stay together and to see each other. And Jim always comments when we see them, they're such nice people. We really chose a good group, and they've just had such great lives. And so that's really been fun for us. And I for some reason this week, I'm getting Facebook things about Hobo Day. How that comes up, I don't know. But I know that you have done incredible things that I didn't know about before, where you've had involving the community of Brookings. I think that's such a fantastic idea. And I saw the picture of the kids going around to different homes and getting dinner together. I don't know when that started or if this is a new thing this year, but that's a great idea. And I think involving Brookings and South Dakota State is such a great idea. And then I want to thank the committee for for the foundation for giving us the opportunity to be a part of the legacy of Hobo Day and keeping it strong and going for decades. It is our pleasure, and we are so happy to be a part of it. And thank you, Steve, for making it happen for us.
Good. Thanks, Julie. Just wanted to briefly say how I got interested in Hobo Day. First of all, initially it was kind of forced on me. I was elected as president my freshman year. Now, I wouldn't think, or you probably don't think, that being elected president of your class would involve Hobo Day. But several days after I was elected to the Student Senate as the president of the freshman class, I got a call from the Hobo Day chairman. And he says, "You understand all the stuff that your freshman class is responsible for Hobo Day?" I have no idea what Hobo Day is. But he said, "You have to build a float, and you have to build a very good float, because we want you to compete against the School of Pharmacy, who wins it every year." So I got to do that, huh? Okay. And number two, we built this bum out on the Central Plaza at that time, and we're going to erect 2 big telephone poles, and your job is to build and make a replica of a bum on this pole, and then importantly, you'll have to guard it because someone from the University of South Dakota is going to come up and try to burn it to the ground. So that's a 24/7 job. Now remember, I've just got here on a basketball scholarship, and I didn't think volunteering or being the class president would involve all this. So that's basically how I got involved. So I quickly went to all the resident assistants that I could find and had a pamphlet to get volunteers to volunteer to help making the float and also to help build this bum on the central plains out there. And amazingly got lots of volunteers. And a couple of them became lifetime friends. One of them was the first Grand Poobah. Norm Sheeky volunteered. He and Paul from way out west in Rapid City area, Paul Franich. And they became lifetime friends and helped immensely with the Hobo Days from then on. They volunteered to be in charge of the float, and then I got 4 good old farm kids that knew how to build everything to take care of the big bum. So anyway, that's how I got started, because I didn't realize how much work Hobo Day was. And thereafter, I was on 4 committees. And in 1971, I was the assistant Grand Poobah Again, Norm was the first. And he invented the name from watching the Flintstones. And he says, someone needs to have this grand name, and I'm going to name myself the Grand Poobah. And so since then, the chairman has been called the Grand Poobah. The 1971 committee was kind of a turning point compared to the other two committees I was on. We had a rough one the year before because it snowed. Not a fun time to have a parade, but nonetheless, we got through with it. And Norm Sheekey was the chairman in '71. They wanted me to be the chairman, but I was still playing basketball, and I didn't think I could commit the time to do both fairly. So anyway, elected to do it the next year. And I remember, since I was in the Student Senate as former president, Barb Strandale came to me when she was elected president. I don't know if anybody in here remembers Barb. She was very good. And she said, listen, we looked at 1971, how much money the Hobo Day Committee had spent on these summer travels to go to these various parade areas. And it's kind of costly, and you just did 7 more than you did the year before. She says, what are your plans for next year? I said, doing 7 more than we did last year. So she says, well, how are you going to fund this? And I said, I tell you what you need me to do is I want you to give us the opportunity to bring in musical groups, rent out the barn to us for nothing, the old gymnasium, and we'll have concerts, and we get all the money, the proceeds from the concert. So, Linda, who did we get? The Grassroots. That was one. And we got a brand new duo, the Carpenters, that came. And we made almost $20,000. I had breakfast with Norman and Lauren this week when I first got here, and we tried to, since Gordon is a physics major, math genius. I asked him to figure out what $20,000 in today's money would be. Well, he didn't know, so I looked it up, Gordy, and it was $209,000 in today's money. So we actually funded all the next 20 Hobo Days with that amount of money. So that was my big thing that I did for the Hobo Day Committee. We had a wonderful, as Julie said, we had a wonderful group. We've been close all these years. We were here for the 100th anniversary of Hobo Day, and that's where we first, Steve came to me and said, are you interested in helping out for future Hobo Days? And Julie told the rest of the story. I must say this, Steve is a real good salesman, but in order to close the deal when he flew to Tulsa, he brought a famous football coach. And I've had more fun with Coach Stig than anybody, but he's the one that actually closed the deal, Steve, so you're glad you brought him along. But again, I want to thank everyone for coming. It's always a joy to see old, and I mean old by the time I am, Hobo Day Committee members that have participated in the past and meant so much to me. Quite frankly, I remember doing studies, going to labs. As an engineer, one of the problems was you had to have, I think, 170 credits to graduate, and most of them were labs. So you would take a lab, and that would only count 1 credit for 3 hours. So you ended up having to go to class for 25 hours a week, which was much more, for example, than most other majors. But because I was playing basketball at some time, Albert Fitchen, who was the chairman of electrical engineering or engineering at that time, actually gave me a key to Crothers Hall so that I could actually finish some of my lab things at 11 o'clock at night till 1 o'clock in the morning. So that you don't find that anymore at any other university, I don't think. But that's kind of how I got through school. So anyway, I want to, again, thank everyone. I want to thank Steve, I want to thank Stig, and everyone that's here. And I certainly want to thank the Hobo Day Committee this year. Can look forward tomorrow for a wonderful parade and a wonderful time together. So again, thank everyone for being here. It's been a pleasure. We feel good. I have to say one thing, though. One of the stipulations that we had, and it was Steve's stipulation, by the way, so we can blame him. No, we talked about it, and we said that we think this should be a matching deal. So what we've decided is we will commit to $500,000, but we'd like to see an additional 25% put in for the entire Jackrabbit community. And everybody that's ever served or been a hobo or hoboret or served on the committee, any kind of contribution to meet the 25% would be great, because we'd like to end up with about $650,000 in this fund so that we could invest it, and the investment would pay for all the expenses Hobo Day that there are. So I know that maybe in this time of inflation it'll be difficult, but we would appreciate any other types of funds that might come in. But thank you very much, Steve. Thank you for all the things you did. I thought Stig was going to be here. I was going to give him a bad time. Is he here? Oh, Stig, you're right there. You know, ever since you grew that beard, I can hardly recognize you, buddy. Yeah. Anyway, the most famous guy on campus right there. Retired after he won a national championship in football. And I must say one thing. I would almost wish that I could have done the 10 points that you talked about at the Board of Trustees meeting today. That was wonderful, Sig. Thank you. And no wonder you're a motivator in football. Appreciate it. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, everyone. God bless.